Welcome to your favourite day of the week, everyone, where it's day 6 of our advent calendar, where every day, up until Christmas, we're going through a strange and funny story that has happened throughout history. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you do not miss any of them. Thank you to anyone who has watched any of them so far, I really do appreciate it. Yesterday, we went through the greatest hoax in history, and today, we're going for a super secret topic that only we can know about. So when someone asks you about it, what was day 6 on the calendar, do not tell anyone because it's super secret. So let's see what was behind door number 6. The 1904 Olympic Marathon. The 1904 Olympics were a wild affair. Only 12 other countries bothered to show up in the venue of St. Louis in America, with Americans making up 523 out of 630 possible athletes. It featured a tug of war, allegations of cheating, a racially insensitive sideshow, and only one event for women. But the real star of the show was the marathon that took place. The distance for the event hadn't been standardised yet, so it was only 24.85 miles instead of today's 26.2. On the day of the race, there was blistering heats of around 32 degrees Celsius, or 90 degrees Fahrenheit for people who use that measurement. The race could have been held in the morning or evening when the heat wasn't so bad, but it was decided to be held at 3 PM when the heat was at its worst, and took the runners over dusty, unpaved and dangerous roads. The chief organiser of the race, James E. Sullivan, was interested in the stupid scientific idea of purposeful dehydration, where it said that athletes perform better without being hydrated. So there was only 2 water stations in the entire race, one at 6 miles and one at 12. 32 men entered the race, however none were really that experienced at long distance running. 2 South African tribesmen, who were part of the South Africa exhibit at St. Louis, were said to have raced barefoot. All the hazardous conditions made it a recipe for disaster, and only 14 out of the 32 participants managed to finish the race. One American runner called William Garcia was found lying in the middle of the road with severe internal injuries due to the clouds of dust kicked up during the race and required emergency surgery. The heat, lack of water and dangerous conditions meant that a lot of athletes gave up, and as it was looking like no one would finish the race, 20-year-old American Fred Laws managed to cross the finish line in 3 hours and 13 minutes. So it seems in all the chaos that someone actually managed to finish the race. However, as Laws was accepting his medal, a witness came forward and called him a fraud. As it turns out, Laws had actually dropped out the race at the 9th mile due to cramp and exhaustion, when his trainer offered him a lift back to the stadium, where the finishing line was, to pick up his clothes and belongings. On the way back to the stadium, the car broke down around the 19th mile of the race, and Laws, now rested and fresh, decided to run the rest of it. The officials were extremely angry at Laws for this deception, however he claimed it was a big misunderstanding and he just crossed the finish line as a joke. The athletic union didn't see it this way though, and they responded by banning Laws for life. However, it was reduced to only 1 year as it was found there was no intent to deceive from Laws, and the very next year he won the Boston Marathon. Back in the race, roughly 10 miles from the finish line, Thomas Hicks led by about 1.5 miles. But he was absolutely exhausted and tried to lie down in the road for a break. His coaches had to stop him lying down in the street, and instead of giving him water to rehydrate because they believed it reduced performance, they instead gave him a cocktail consisting of rat poison, brandy and egg whites called strychnine, which is now banned in today's Olympics. Hicks, now high on rat poison, raced to the finishing line, hallucinating along the way, and his coaches had to drag him over the last few meters as he was almost collapsing. It is said during the race he lost roughly 8 pounds of weight. But the story of our marathon doesn't just end there on cheating allegations and rat poison. There was a lot more fun going on back in the race. One of the African tribesmen who was mentioned earlier who ran barefoot, a man named Len Tao, was actually quite a talented marathon runner, and spectators said he could have finished better than 9th if he had not been chased a mile off course by a pack of wild dogs. Elsewhere, a finely dressed man called Felix Carbajal de Soto had arrived at the race last minute. He lost all his money gambling in New Orleans, so he had to hitchhike to St. Louis in his formal wear. Minutes before the race, he cut his trousers to make them look like shorts, and as he had not eaten in 40 hours on his hitchhike to St. Louis, he stopped off at an orchard en route to munch on some apples. As it turns out though, the apples were actually rotten and gave him stomach cramps, so he decided to have a little nap before continuing his race. He still managed to finish 4th in the end though. The officiating and organisation was so poor for the 1904 marathon that the organiser said it probably wouldn't be back for the 1908 games. However, it did return for the 1908 games, and the winner, John Hayes, said his secret to winning was, "I merely bathed my face with cologne and gargled my throat with brandy." Winning combination really. So thank you for watching everyone, I hope you've all enjoyed day 6 of our advent calendar. Join us tomorrow, we find out about how Pepsi could have taken over the world. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss that, and I'll see you all then, peace.